This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall. CJAD 800.
All right, that is James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, we were going to have Eric Duhaime on just after our 5:30 news today. So he is not done trying to get himself into the National Assembly. Only this time, I think the difference, Jim, is from what I remember at the beginning after he lost the election, he's getting some help from an unlikely source, and that's the PQ.
Yeah, the guy who didn't elect anybody is getting help from the guy who elected 3 people, himself included. Unfortunately, there are 125 seats in the National Assembly. Listen, I got to tell you, he's for sure. Oh, he's for sure. He's going to be on. He's scheduled to be on.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, because I would appreciate it if you would enlighten me and perhaps other of our listeners. It's great because Duhaime was talking to the Canadian press yesterday, and, it's like every vote counts. I got more than 500,000 votes. It's absolutely ridiculous what is going on. It's unacceptable. I want an office in the National Assembly. I want access to the hot room, which is a place where elected officials have press conferences in the National Assembly. And basically, I want to have access to closed-door meetings that elected officials go to, for example, talking about the budget and whatever. I want to be, and I know I'm not an M&A, but I want to be an M&A. You know why? Because votes are sacred. Democracy is sacred. However, in the same interview, Mr. Duhaime, and this is the question I would have, he mentions in the same interview that, we're looking around to troll some M&As who might be dissatisfied with their party. I mean, it worked once before, right? Claire Sampson wasn't happy with the CAQ. She leaves, sits as an independent, but as a kind of a proxy for the Conservative Party of Quebec. And I guess my question is, when does the votes that, were cast for you, they're sacred, I can appreciate that. How come the votes for somebody else who didn't run for your party, who had nothing to do with you, how come those votes can be poured through the shredder based on someone's ego? How do you reconcile those two perspectives of democracy? Fair. Because up until that second part, I thought, okay, maybe the guy is onto something. He's not going to get in. He's not going to win. But maybe he's onto something. But then to sort of turn around and say, well, worst comes to worst. If we can rumble 1 or maybe even 2 M&As, Bob's your uncle. We're in. We have representation. I can have all the press conferences I want. Come on, man. Do your homework. I mean, you can't have, one set of, one interpretation of democracy in half a breath and then a rather more cynical interpretation in the other half of that.
Sure, you can.
Well, and that's a fair question to ask, I think, which we will bring up, because you're right, Jim. The other thing I kind of don't understand fully is, even though he says this is what he wants and it's unfair, at the same time, he's quoted in the story as saying he's not asking for a complete turnaround to the system as it stands right now. Now, we're talking about electoral reform, yet he's not looking for that to change, completely, so he wouldn't be in this situation to begin with. I don't get that either.
That's exactly what he's working. There's no contradiction. That's exactly. He's saying one thing and doing another, okay? And I know, we've had this conversation a zillion times on the show. I know the system is stupid. The system creates tremendous distortions. The system is, by a perception of a lot of people, unfair. And it does make a lot of votes kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But all that said, it's the system we have. And until that system changes, you got to live within it. So this idea, and I have never seen this, 4 decades in this business, I have never seen so many politicians hopping up and down. Quebec Solidaire kind of dialed it down a bit. They took the oaths finally, and they figure, okay, we'll work and we'll see if we can at least get the oaths changed. We have to be in the National Assembly to make that change. But between the PECs and now Monsieur Duhaime, franchement, it's getting a little out of hand. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got a toddler who, wants to go see Santa Claus even though it's July, and you say, well, you can't because Santa's not here. No, I want to see Santa Claus. And it's going over and over and over again. This is not going to change. And I guarantee you, Francois Legault will metaphorically laugh his head off when anybody turns around and says, well, no, can you do this and this and this? This was the result of the election. Not everyone can be a winner. Not everyone gets a merit badge. Not everyone gets a trophy or a seat in the National Assembly. And until that system changes, hopping up and down and yelling and talking to every reporter who will listen is not going to change one damn thing.
But what I wonder is, okay, so to me it reeks of desperation, right? And it makes me think at the beginning of the campaign, we'd heard that, he was someone who would turn on a dime. He would say whatever he needed to say to kind of win you over. Is this working with the people who do support him? Do they think, all right, he's not giving up, he's going for it? Or do you think it reeks a little bit of desperation to his supporters?
When the next poll comes out. I mean, he had his 13%, but that, I think in the poll after the election, it dropped to 11. So, who exactly is he talking for now? I know there's no doubt he got more than 500,000 votes, but they didn't do him any good. The PQ got more votes than the Liberals, but it didn't do them any good. But here's the thing. This is not some surprise electoral system we've had. People have been complaining about this system quite literally for decades, okay? And when the PECs were getting majority governments with this system, I don't recall many people standing up and down saying, this is unfair, this is ridiculous, this should change.
No.
So honestly, be straight with the people of Quebec, because the system does need to be changed. But in the meantime, stop trying to, do an end run around the rules that basically have held the government together for, the last century or so. You want to change the system, go ahead, but please, this idea, I'm going to send a letter to Natalie Roy when she's made speaker, and I want this, I want this corner cut and this shortcut opened up for me. Doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't.
Okay. I wonder if anything will change, though. We'll have to wait and see. I will ask you one other thing. When he's talking about poaching members from other parties, I mean, right away, Marie-Claude Nichols, top of mind, not happy with the Liberals anyway. Isn't this a chance for her to kind of stick it in their back?
All due respect, Aaron, it ain't going to happen. No. But if he is like, Wile E. Coyote standing on the top of the mesa looking down at the flock of sheep, he's looking at that big herd that the CAC just brought in. A lot of loose cannons in there, a lot of unknowns, okay? And if people don't get the cabinet seat they want, if people don't get the respect that they think they're due because they worked so hard for Francois Legault, he's not going to get a defector tomorrow. But let it simmer. And we know with Francois Legault's leadership style, it may be sooner rather than later that someone might pop up in that caucus, in that 90-member caucus, who says, you know what, I got nothing. I'm not going to get anything from this. I'll just walk over.
Okay, well, we shall see. We'll try to find out more when we speak to Eric Duhaime at 5:30. Meanwhile, the Liberals have found out today that there's one more person who doesn't want the job running the party.
Yeah, and it would be easy. I have my own theory because Pierre Moreau was at one point, he was Philippe Couillard's go-to guy. He was like the minister in charge of everything. He was kind of, he was everywhere, the real right hand. And the problem is, and people don't remember, and my God, it was only 6 years ago, and it seems like a lifetime ago, he had a major health crisis. It was in 2016. And there was all kinds of terrible rumors going around, and that he was very, very ill. And he was very, very ill. And I'm happy to say that he recovered. But I would respectfully submit that, once you sit down and have a long chat with your mortality, maybe the idea of getting back into that game, that very demanding meat grinder of a game, perhaps you find, you could have better things to do. Anyway, I don't think Monsieur Moreau is going to be the last person, the last sort of like high-profile Liberal who's going to regretfully take a pass on the job. Right now, everything's up in the air. We have no idea what the Liberal Party is up to, where it's going, what it's going to be when it grows up. I mean, it's crazy to say that a provincial party created a confederation, which basically spent all that time, a lot of the time running the province, and certainly in my lifetime, just trading places with the PQ. Suddenly is this suddenly shaken Etch-a-Sketch, and nobody knows what the next picture is going to look like. But the fact, and I think for a lot of people who might be interested in the job, they need that clarity. And right now, that is not exactly emanating from the Quebec Liberal Party.
No, I got to say, I am not even remotely excited by the prospect of Marc Tanguay. I find him to be less than inspiring. And if there's one thing the Liberals need right now, it's someone who can, inspire and get people excited.
Well, get people excited, but I think that what they also need, honestly, is someone who can lead a damage control party.
Sure. And,
sort of right the capsized ship of state that the Liberal Party has become. Because I think things are a lot worse than we're being led to believe. We know things are bad. I think they're actually worse. You've got this kind of interim leader. You had people who were elected under one leader. Now they have a new leader. Do we know what direction the party is going to go in? Maybe I'll be completely wrong. Maybe tomorrow when the House resumes sitting, they'll surprise me. but I see nothing but uncertainty, even over this brief 2-week period that the National Assembly will be sitting before they recess for Christmas. I see nothing to suggest that that there's any saviors in the wings or any sudden operatic changes of plot coming down the road. I think, honestly, they'll score a huge victory if they manage just to keep together over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll see what comes.
So you're saying Denny Coderre's got a chance, is what you're saying, Jim, right?
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, first of all, I know we jumped right into it. Welcome back, Natasha.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jim.
And I have a very quick question for you about your vacation.
Oh, yes?
When you thought you got shot, but in fact it was a paddleboard that exploded?
Yes.
How do you know somebody didn't shoot the paddleboard?
Oh, you mean maybe they were aiming
Jim.
for me and they missed?
Okay. Perfect, Jim. Thank you.
Okay. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'm alive and well.
Feel much better now, Natasha, that there's
No,
a conspiracy
that,
theory
Jim.
as to whether they were attempting to shoot you or not. Okay. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Adamant.